All right, let's talk about something we all think we know, HTML. But what if I told you we've been looking at it all wrong? Today, we're going to dig into what HTML is really for, and spoiler alert, it's so much more than just design. Let's do this.
So if you've ever touched HTML, even for a second, this looks super familiar, right? H1, big heading. H2, a slightly smaller heading. Easy. We're all taught from day one that these tags are just, well, for making text different sizes. That's kind of the whole point, isn't it?
Okay, but wait a minute. We all know CSS exists. And with just a tiny bit of CSS, you can make that H2 tag absolutely massive, way bigger than the H1. So if it's all just about looks, and CSS can just come in and change everything anyway, what's the real point? Seriously, why do we even have these different tags? Why not just use paragraph tags for everything and style them how we want? And that question, that gets to the absolute heart of what we're talking about today. It's time to completely rethink what we're doing with HTML, because it's not just a design tool. Nope, its real job is something way deeper and, honestly, a lot more powerful. Okay, here it is. This is the big reveal. HTML is a structural language. Its main job isn't about looks, it's about meaning. It's about describing your content. We call this semantics. So an H1 tag isn't just screaming, "make me big" at the browser. It's saying, "hey, listen up. This is the most important idea on this entire page." And here's why that matters so much. That structure you're building, it's not really for the human looking at the screen. Not primarily, anyway. It's a roadmap. It's a set of instructions for machines. You know, things like web browsers and, more importantly, search engine bots, like the ones from Google. They crawl your page and use that structure to figure out what's what. Think about it like this. You could just stick your company's address in a regular old paragraph tag, and yeah, it would look fine. But if you wrap it in the proper address tag, something amazing happens. Google's little search bots immediately go, aha, that's an address. They can then grab it and use it for things like Google Maps and business listings, all because you told them the meaning of that text. That is the power of semantic HTML.
Okay, so if we're going to build this structure the right way, we need to get the basic anatomy down. Every single web page is kind of split into two main sections. You've got the part you can actually see, and then you have this invisible part that's doing all the really heavy lifting behind the curtain.
The easiest way to think about it is like a little family tree. At the very top, you have the HTML tag. That's kind of like the grandparent of everything. Then, inside, you have its two direct kids, the head and the body. And then, of course, they have their own children, like the title tag living in the head and the H1 tag living in the body. Getting this whole parent-child thing is absolutely key. And that's how we get our two main parts. The head section, think of it like mission control for your webpage. It's packed with all these invisible instructions for the browser. You know, stuff like the page title that shows up in the tab, links to your CSS files, all that good stuff. None of it shows up on the page itself. The body, on the other hand, that's the main event. That's the stage where all the visible stuff, your text, your images, everything your user actually sees and interacts with, lives. All right, let's zoom in on something super important inside that invisible head section, meta tags. And the name pretty much gives it away, right? It's meta. It's information about your information, data about your data. So what exactly are they? They're really just tiny little snippets of text, little bits of code that live in the head. They give browsers and search engines super important context about your page, but they stay completely hidden from anybody just browsing the site. Let's look at a couple of the really important ones. You've got charset equals UTF-8. This one is non-negotiable. It tells the browser what set of characters to use, which is what lets you have, regular text and even emojis. Then there's the viewport tag. This one's absolutely critical for making your website look good on a phone. And the description meta tag? Oh man, this one is huge. That's the little summary that Google usually shows right under your link in the search results. Super, super important for getting clicks. And hey, here's a little pro tip for you. If you really want to know which tags are going to give you the biggest SEO boost, don't listen to some random blog post. Go straight to the source. Google actually tells you what they want to see. Their own developer docs are without a doubt the best place to find out what their search bots are looking for. Okay, so we've got the why down. We understand why structure is so important. Now let's shift gears and talk about the how, because the way you actually write your code, it matters a lot more than you might think, especially as you start to get into more advanced stuff. Here's the problem. Web browsers are, well, they're too nice. They're incredibly forgiving. You can write the messiest, most broken HTML imaginable, and the browser will bend over backward trying to figure out what you meant and show something. But that kindness is a trap.
It lets you build really bad habits. And trust me, when you move to modern tools, they are not forgiving. Just look at this super simple example. Forgetting to close your tag. A browser will probably just let it slide. It'll figure it out. But it's a terrible habit. The rule couldn't be simpler. If you open a tag, you close that tag. Period. It's like rule number 1 of writing clean code. So why am I making such a big deal about this? Why be so strict with yourself? Because the second you step into the world of modern frameworks like React, that friendly, forgiving browser world is gone. An unclosed tag in something like React doesn't just make things look a little funny. No, it will break your entire app. It'll just crash. So building these good habits right now, you're literally future-proofing your career. So at the end of the day, HTML is so much more than just a tool to make text bold or change colors. It's the language we use to build a meaningful, understandable structure for the web. It's how we communicate with the machines, the search engines, the browsers that connect everything together. So now that you really get the why behind it all, what are you going to build with that knowledge?